He saved thousands of stories, but couldn't save his own world. She came to destroy everything he loved, but found what she wasn't looking for. Subscribe to the channel to motivate the author and like it. The London rain fell in relentless grey sheets, blurring the windows of Arthur Pembroke's bookshop. Pembroke and Daughters stood as a stubborn relic in a city increasingly dominated by glass and steel, a three-story warren of shelves groaning under the weight of forgotten stories. Arthur, the last daughter in a line that had ironically produced no daughters for 2 generations, was a man curated by silence and the scent of aging paper. His world was one of precise alphabetization and the gentle restoration of broken spines. Alara Vance shattered that silence on a Tuesday afternoon. She entered not with the hesitant step of a bibliophile, but with the sharp click of purpose, her designer coat beaded with rain. She was a librarian, but of the new world, a digital archivist for a Silicon Valley titan, part of a project to scan the world's written knowledge into the cloud. Subscribe to the channel to motivate the author and like it. Mr. Pembroke, she began, her voice crisp as a new page. I'm here on behalf of Omnicore. We are prepared to make a substantial offer for the entire inventory. Our algorithms have identified several unique first editions and a collection of personal correspondences of significant historical value. Arthur didn't look up from the vellum binding he was meticulously repairing. The shop is not for sale. The inventory is not for sale. It's not just a sale, Alara countered, placing her tablet on his workbench, displaying a dizzying financial projection. It's preservation. These books are decaying. We can give them eternal life in a digital format, make them accessible to everyone. Eternal life in a server farm. Arthur finally met her gaze, his eyes the colour of weak tea. A book is not just its words, Miss Vance. It's the weight of the paper, the smell of the ink, the marginalia left by a reader a century ago. You can't scan its soul. Their war was declared. Alara returned daily, armed with data, environmental control reports showing the shop's humidity was damaging the paper, and market analyses proving the business's inevitable failure. Arthur resisted with the quiet ferocity of a man defending his family. He would misplace books she requested, reshelve entire sections in obscure classifications only he understood, and play obscure, melancholic classical music just loud enough to disrupt her concentration. The stalemate broke during a city-wide blackout. A sudden storm plunged the shop into a profound darkness, the kind only a windowless, book-crammed space can achieve. Alara, trapped amidst the silent, towering shelves, fumbled for her phone's torch. A soft, golden light bloomed behind her. Arthur stood with an old hurricane lamp, its warm glow painting the shelves in dancing shadows. The fuses are old, he said simply. Might be a while. In the intimate circle of lamplight, the dynamic shifted. He showed her things no scanner could capture. A pressed four-leaf clover in a volume of Wordsworth, a love letter used as a bookmark in a Jane Austen, a child's crude drawing of a dragon in the margins of a medieval history text. This, he said, his voice softer than she'd ever heard it, is what you want to turn into ones and zeros. This is the ghost in the machine. Alara, whose life was built on clean data and logical outcomes, felt something unknot in her chest. She spent the rest of the blackout not taking notes, but listening. He told her about his father, who had built the collection, and his grandfather, who had started it with a single crate of books salvaged from a bombed-out library in the Blitz. When the power returned, the silence between them was different. It was no longer a wall, but a bridge. She started visiting not as a corporate raider, but as a curious student. He taught her how to identify different types of paper by feel, how to repair a torn page with Japanese tissue paper. She, in turn, showed him how to use databases to trace the provenance of a rare volume, finding a connection to a minor royal court he'd never known. One evening, as they leaned over a sprawling 17th century atlas, their hands brushed while tracing the same coastline. The air grew still. The shop, usually a cathedral of quiet, now felt like a held breath. Alara, he whispered, her name sounding like a forgotten word rediscovered. This is highly irrational, she breathed, but she was leaning in. The best things usually are, he replied. The kiss was a revelation. It was not fiery or desperate, but deep and searching, as if they were learning a new, ancient language. It tasted of dust and tea and a profound, unexpected rightness. Subscribe to the channel to motivate the author and like it. The intimacy that bloomed in the bookshop was as quiet and deep as the roots of an old tree. Their days took on a new rhythm. Alara would arrive after her corporate work, shedding her modern armor for the comfort of the dusty, paper-scented world. Arthur, in turn, found his solitary kingdom enriched by her presence. They work side by side, his intuitive, tactile knowledge of books blending seamlessly with her systematic, research-driven approach. They discovered a previously unknown collection of letters from a Victorian explorer tucked inside a hollowed-out Bible, and together they pieced together his lost story. Their physical relationship unfolded with the same deliberate care. The first time he led her up the narrow stairs to his small apartment above the shop, it felt less like a seduction and more like the next logical chapter. In his simply furnished room, surrounded by yet more books, they learned each other. His hands, so skilled and gentle with fragile pages, were equally reverent with her. He traced the lines of her body as if reading a precious manuscript, learning the story she carried in her skin and muscle. For Alara, who lived so much in her mind, his touch was a grounding force, a return to the physical. Their lovemaking was a silent, intense conversation, a mutual giving and taking that left them both feeling profoundly seen and understood. The thread arrived via a formal, cream-colored letter. A property development group, Ethelred Holdings, had acquired the building's lease and was terminating it. The bookshop was to be demolished to make way for luxury apartments. The offer of compensation was insultingly small. Arthur was devastated, the fight seeming to drain out of him. "It's over," he said, staring at the letter as if it were a death sentence. "They always win." Alara took the letter from his trembling hands. "No," she said, her voice steelier than he had ever heard it. "Not this time." She waged a war he would never have had the tools to fight. Using her corporate skills, she drafted a compelling proposal to have the shop declared a community asset of value. She mobilized local historians, authors, and citizens who had loved the shop for years. She created a social media campaign, #SavePembrooks, sharing the beautiful, quirky stories they had uncovered together. Arthur, though uncomfortable in the spotlight, gave interviews, his quiet passion for his life's work proving more powerful than any corporate PR. The final hearing at the council chambers was a battle of David and Goliath. Ethelred's lawyers presented slick economic models. But then Arthur stood. He didn't talk about money or property values. He spoke of the four-leaf clover, the child's drawing, the love letter. He spoke of the shop not as a business, but as a living archive of human connection. When he finished, the room was silent. Alara then presented their petition, signed by thousands. They won. The shop was saved. Weeks later, on a quiet evening, the shop was filled with the soft glow of evening light. The victory felt settled, a part of their shared history. Arthur led Alara to a section she had never paid much attention to, poetry. He pulled down a slim, leather-bound volume. It was a collection of John Keats's poems. He opened it to a specific page and handed it to her. Inside, nestled where the poem Bright Star was printed, was not a ring, but a delicate, antique key on a silk ribbon. "This key," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "has opened this shop for 60 years. It opened the door for my father, for me, and for every reader who ever found solace here." He took her hand. "It opened the door to you. You didn't just save my shop, Alara. You saved me. You are the next chapter one never dared to write. Marry me." Tears streamed down Alara's face, the data-driven archivist utterly conquered by the most analog of gestures. Her yes was a soft, joyful sound in the quiet shop. As they kissed, surrounded by the silent, witnessing thousands of stories, they both knew they had finally found the one story that was truly theirs to keep.